Hi everybody, if you're a regular viewer on my channel, you'll know I have a playlist called Motorcycle Tips for New Riders, which is designed to help people get from no bike and no knowledge to up to their full license and everything they need to know in between. And because of that, I get asked a lot of questions, and if I get asked a question a fair few times, I tend to make a video on it. So I'm going to make a simple one here and talk about this question, because the answer isn't entirely straightforward. It's not as straightforward as I maybe would have thought in the past. The question is this, simply. So Spicy, I'm 24, I want to get 1000cc eventually. Can I not just do my direct access and go and get that 1000cc straight off? You know, bish bash bosh, done, got the bike I want. The answer to that is yes, legally at 24 you can take your full unrestricted license. Insurance is going to be quite expensive, I would imagine, but yes, you can physically do that. Is it a good idea is another question. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be like, no, that is just a terrible idea. Some other people are going to be like, yeah, that's absolutely fine. The bike only goes as fast as you make it. And you are both correct. I think this is going to be my point from this. Yes, you can get 1000cc at 24. The bikes only go as fast as you twist that grip. However, and this sort of leads me on to my point, it depends on you so much that I don't think we can sort of give an answer. You can give the answer. So let's give some criteria as to why you might not want a 1000cc bike. Do you want a 1000cc because you want to be fast? My point with that is it shows the mentality, which is you want to go fast, and that's why you want a 1000cc. A 1000cc bike, just to be clear, is ridiculous. Now, I'm talking here from the perspective of a 1000cc, say, sports, a Fireblade, a Gixxer 1000, you know, an R1, something like that. They are stupendously fast, and your little brain is not going to be able to deal with that to start with. And I mean that seriously. What I mean by that is, I rode 125s for like 7 years, okay? Then I got my 400, and I got used to the extra speed of the 400 because it wasn't that much more. It was, you know, only a little bit. And then my first larger bike I got to ride was an S1000RR, and I understood instantly how much faster that bike was compared to everything else I'd ridden. It was so much faster in acceleration than anything else I'd been in or on. It's insane. And what happens at that speed is your brain doesn't know how to deal with that much information, and what you end up seeing is a dot in the middle of your vision and then just blur. It's like a worm tunnel of green leaves and just a mixture of pure thrill and fear of death, all in a split second. And remember that if you double your speed, you quadruple your stopping distance, okay? That's the way these things work. You don't double the stopping distance for double the speed, it is squared, okay? You go a little bit too fast for a very slight too long amount of time, and you can find yourself several feet into a wall that you thought you could stop by. My point being, 1000cc sports bikes are fast as, 1000cc Tourers and stuff like that, you know, they're still very powerful bikes. They're not quite as quick on the top end normally, they've got a lot more torque, and that can catch you out just as easily if you haven't got traction control and stuff like that, which most modern bikes do that are that size, but you know what I'm saying. It is completely down to you, because only you know you. You know if you, as I say, if you want to go fast, you know if you're getting it for whatever reason you're getting it, how you see yourself. If you're like, I'd like to get a 1000cc because it would just be comfortable to sit on the motorway and go on long touring trips and stuff like that, or just covering distance in comfort, as in the engine isn't trying a lot, then sure, that's a good thing. If you're not quick to anger, if you don't emotionally react to things like, you know, I don't know, you've had an argument with someone, jump in your car and your wheels spin off, that's an example of having the wrong sort of behaviour towards anger in vehicles. You need to not let your emotions play out through the bike, because on a 125 it can be dangerous, on 1000 it can be extremely dangerous, because it only takes a split second of not really paying attention due to your distraction, and again with that stopping distance thing you find yourself in a position that there's not a lot you can do about. You really are going to have to reflect on yourself to work out whether you should get 1000 or not. Do you think you should? If you don't think you should get one, then you probably definitely shouldn't get one. Although there is the converse to that, the obverse, which is that some people would say, oh, I wouldn't trust myself on that one, actually be fine, because that fear comes from knowing the risks and more likely to fall in line with them, opposed to someone who'll say, I can get 1,000 and be fine. They're easy to ride, you know, doesn't take any skill at all. And that gets you into the discussion of overconfidence, underconfidence, and middle ground, and yeah, I've been into that one before. Too much confidence is a very, very dangerous thing, and you'll only have, well, as I've said, the most confident you'll ever be is right up until the point you crash for the first time, and then you learn. Yes, you can get one if you believe, truthfully to yourself, that you can, you know, you can control yourself, you can learn progressively, and you can understand that you can never wring that bike out properly on the road without breaking some pretty serious speed rules. There's nothing you can do about it. To use that bike fully, you know, like a 125 that you can get on it and redline every single gear and be doing the motorway speed limit, you do that through a couple of gears on that bike, you are in an area of no license stroke prison time. Like 3 gears, 4 gears, you're very quickly getting out of license into some pretty serious stuff. So just be aware of that. My only question would be this: why? Now this is obviously entirely my personal preference, and I'm not going to see things from this perspective necessarily, or feel the same way that someone does who likes 1,000cc to just comfortably ride around on, or even ride fast on. But I find personally that smaller cc bikes are much more fun. Something like, you know, an R6 even, to say, should a new rider get an R6? That's a very different type of 600. You know, like a CBR 500R, which is on the A2, is a very placid bike and feels like a much faster 125. I'm not saying 500 and 125s, I'm not saying that, but it's not like ripping your arms off scarily fast. It's more sedate fast, opposed to something like an R6, which is only 100cc more, and you know, we're talking much higher RPMs, much more power output, and a hell of a lot more speed. We also have to be pretty honest here about the traffic situation in this country. A lot of people do like to sort of talk from the perspective, well, I'd love to know, they seem to talk from the perspective that they think that there is anywhere that you can fully ride 1,000cc. Okay, maybe at 3 o'clock in the morning, maybe in some deserted back area, I don't know, but most of the places I try and ride, even if I try and get away from everyone, you have roads that you couldn't fully ride 1,000 on anyway, and then when you do get sections that you maybe could, it's full of cyclists and horses and tractors and stuff like that. So where you can actually use this 1,000cc to its fullest ability, if you did have the ability and the not caring about the law enough to do it, I would love to know, other than the Isle of Man and a few places like that. The majority of the places you're riding around are not going to be places you can use that 1,000 in the slightest. And for that reason is another reason I say, why would you want one? Now, I don't hate 1,000cc bikes. I actually quite enjoy riding them for a few days. You know, for a few hours, for a little blast, for a bit of fun, to experience something like that. Yes, it's good fun. I wouldn't want it every day. I think it would probably ruin bikes for me. Or I would just find myself hankering for a smaller engine again. Like right now, I'm on this. This is an XJ6. It is a 600cc. It's a detuned R6 basically. Redline's around 12,500 RPM. You know, it screams if you want it to. So it can be quick, but generally it's not. And I'm riding here at 30 mile an hour, and it's pretty boring. I could actually be doing 40. Let's do 40. If I was on a 125 doing this, I would be having more fun. Now, I'm not saying go and get a 125. What I'm just saying is a smaller bike can be a lot more fun. I think there's so many more options than just going for the 1,000. There's money to be saved in insurance. There's money to be saved in running costs. I don't see the need for it. Unless you absolutely want it, then that's all you need to know. Go and get it and have fun. Just think about, you know, what I've said about being careful and stuff. Who's willing to bet they have absolutely no idea I'm here at all? If you've got anything to add on this, please do. Smack it in the comments. Smack it in the comments. You just slap it down. Slap it down. There's a reference that probably no one will get. If I'm going to give my completely opinion-based answer, I would say, should you get a 1000cc at 24? And the answer is no. Not because I don't think you couldn't handle it, because I could suggest you take something like a 600, which would be just as lethal in your hands, really. And then there is the point to say that, I suppose once you got something above 500-600cc, is 1000 that different? Yes, it is that different, but at the same time, is it? Maybe not. It's so depending. Do as I say, leave those comments below, let me know what you think. Like this video if you found it interesting, or if you think it's an interesting discussion to be had. I do think things have changed since the old days, maybe the grand days of the 80s and 90s of biking in the UK. The number of vehicles on the road has gone up massively, and if you question how much it's gone up on the roads, just to give you a perspective, when I was born in 85, there was about 4.5 billion people on the planet. There's now nearly, 7 and a bit? If we've doubled our population pretty much in the time that I've been alive, things have changed a little bit out on the roads. They're so busy, they are so full of cars constantly. There isn't a moment you can ride without seeing a single car. It's chock-a-block, non-stop. Everywhere you look, cars just everywhere. I am realising the irony of what I'm saying at the moment. That's a van, that's not even a car. Just chock-a-block. This is not a good example, okay? This where I live on a day like today, where it's not very nice, it's not very busy, it will be absolutely rammo off the island. Okay, now time for a little micro update, because it's quite handy shoving on the end of videos just to let you know what's been going on the past few days. The DR suspension is now with the people that are looking at it. That's going to be a couple of weeks at least. I'm just going to leave it with them and wait to see what happens. The last video I did riding Reno's CBR, I got home and thought, the suspension feels a little bit funny, and then I looked at the fork, and one of the forks is covered in dirt because her fork seal's gone. Yes, the curse of fork seals has spread, it's become contagious, and now Reno's CBR has caught it. Poor little thing. After all the hyping I did of that thing never going wrong, it just peed itself. The reason why it's done it though is because of lack of use. Where it didn't get used for a year, things have a chance to become brittle and out of shape and degrade a bit. When something's used constantly, it doesn't degrade so much. And that's truly so with bikes. Use a bike every day and it will be better condition than if you leave it there for 5 years. Well, with it kind of a yes and no, you know what I mean. Me taking a circuitous route to Tesco's, I don't know what you're talking about. Anything else to update you on? I have kind of half got bikes arranged now. I keep saying it, like there's at least 3 or 4 that I've got the yep, you're getting it, and I'm waiting on dates. But I'm waiting on dates from like 4 different people right now, and I just hope there isn't a sudden clash where they all contact me on the same day and say, hey. Anyway, until the next one. Bye-bye.